everyone, and welcome back to Balsamic Games, our first major New Coven stream of the new year. We've had a lot of plunged into the dark games, and we have a lot more planned. One even tomorrow and one next week. Thank you for the resubscription, Bloody Rose. Great to see everybody here. Today is going to be a first for us. While we have made a coven together before, we've never made one with audience participation. So this one is going to be quite special because hopefully all of you will have at least a little hand, like a little tiny hand.
One of those hands that's growing back into a full-size hand.
It just gets lopped off and then just comes back as teeny tiny little hands. Sorry, deep cut from Night Sky Sanctum there. But, or Deadpool. Didn't he have his tiny legs?
Legs,
yeah.
Yes.
Tiny Bishi
I'm
always
sure he
has.
had a tiny hand at some point as well.
Yeah.
I remember him stroking his roommate's face with it.
Oh, yeah, that does sound right.
I'm sure there's a schlong joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, so we're going to build our coven with all of you. But before we get started with that, let's have everyone introduce themselves. We are all in a slightly different order than usual to accommodate this massive coven sheet down here. See if I can give it a big hug. But let's start with Andrea. Tell us who you are and what your experience with Children of Midnight Coven is.
I'm Andrea. I am half of the writing and creative team at Balsamic Games, and this is our game that we made, and I love it, and I'm very excited to make a new coven with everybody's participation tonight.
Cool. What have you played before?
What have I played before?
Yeah.
Let's see. I started out from way back in the day, first game ever.
No, I mean, what Children of Midnight Coven characters?
What Children of Midnight characters? I was Hollis was my very first streamed character. I have played a couple of other characters in some home playtest, but I can't remember any of their names.
And, I know they were Babas.
It's been a long time now.
You played a lot of Babas.
I did. I've only played 2 Babas.
Yeah.
I made 2 Babas.
But 2 out of 3 characters of yours.
Mm-hmm. They're the best.
You have a type.
Yeah. Morningstar.
Well, I'm Morningstar, and that's basically what Gavin just said, and that's really all there is to know about me.
Yeah, that's
I'm just Morningstar. There's nothing special about me whatsoever. But I do love roleplay, and in our previous games, I was playing the malicious and megalomaniacal Median Elise, who really did some horrible things to make herself more powerful, but thankfully left the plane of existence. So I'm hoping to play someone a little bit less wicked this time.
Yes.
Be a nice change of pace.
Megan?
Hi, I'm Megan. In the past, I've played Seth on Balsamic Games, as well as Skip. If Andrea has a type and it's Baba, I have a type, and it's the fishy variety. I enjoy playing the Nerid characters.
Nice.
So, we'll see if that happens again this time, based on how we make the coven.
Yeah. Zelwyn?
Well, I am a Zelwyn, and let's see, the first character I played on here was Yarrow, who was a Arcanist Satyr, and was just a little Leroy Jenkinsy, and since it was my first tabletop experience in general, it was very chaotic and wild, but I thought it brought a little bit of spice and fun to something. And then the last session, I was Joy, who was anything but, and was a little gob, and that was kind of fun. And so she was a little bit more stern, and so this time I want to do something completely different as well. So we'll see what kind of character I want to make this time.
Awesome, yeah.
You'll play a character named Misery, and she'll be an absolute delight.
Right, that'll be the himbo.
Nice.
Oh my god, the headcanon. Misery loves company. Misery just wants friends.
Ooh.
Yes!
Nice, nice. All right.
Misery was my favorite Ruby Gloom character.
She was the best. Yep. All right. So, for Coven creation, there's basically a questionnaire that you can go through, and you answer the questions, you have a fully formed Coven. So, I'll just start with the very first thing, and I think that will help us start the brainstorm brewing. And everyone in chat, feel free to furiously type in your answers to try to get them to worm into everyone's brains before they all think of stuff. But the first step is your coven has recently formed, and in doing so acquired a covenstead. Your covenstead is a safe house from which you practice magic. Decide what kind of place it is and its location. Because you begin at tier 0, it is likely a modest or abandoned sort of place. So, where your covenstead might be located and what kind of place it is. Where do you congregate?
So hard because I feel like our last covenstead was the best covenstead.
What if we, going for the opposite spectrum, what if we literally just have a ratty apartment building? Just an apartment we share, and then we have to do some kind of enchantments and protections or whatever on it to hide it or whatever, and it just makes for hijinks but being really small.
Yeah, you could go
Things
low.
nearby, we gotta knock out a wall, and that's our vault. Knock out another wall.
You could just take over a whole building. You could do all the underground floors, or you could do maybe the penthouse, but do an enchantment so people don't think that the elevator even goes up to those floors.
Ooh.
Ooh, hidden elevator.
Yeah, that's fun.
Alptrom says, abandoned brothel. Why abandon it? Robot Rainbow says, the Bat Cave. And Tiny makes a good point. Shack in the woods. Go up north.
We be the witches of the woods.
I do actually quite like the idea of being right in the city. If we are going to be focusing on midnight, then I think it might be nice, because previously we were outside the city. Getting there in the core of Manhattan might be an interesting way to play, especially once we have engagements and such. They'll be right there with the public.
Plus, I don't think we've ever had a coven as swanky and nice as a penthouse. So,
I mean, it's an abandoned penthouse.
Well, anything can be refurbished with a little bit of love, darling.
Asbestos. It's fine.
Some mold. It'll be fine.
An abatement
the
team
lead
in there.
paint, it never hurt nobody.
With magic, you can clean that all right up. Apparently, I misattributed the abandoned brothel. It was Miss Calum that said that. But yeah.
I do love the idea of an abandoned brothel, and it's full of dead hookers in a trunk. Their spirits are just floating around.
Oh, spirits everywhere.
Sex workers, darling.
Oh gosh, like in what is it, Doom Patrol? They have all the spirits everywhere.
Oh yeah, the sex ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that sounds really interesting. Let's see. Thank you, Mel, for the subscription. Great to see you. It's okay for you to be late due to therapy. We accept and encourage that.
We don't have any tardy slips to give you.
But I think we should work off of an apartment, and you can put a sex ghost in any apartment building.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The lower level was a brothel, and we live above.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe we should discuss where in time to put this
Ooh.
coven.
Okay.
So you have sort of the base, world of Children of Midnight, which is, the modern day, more or less. But then on top of that, you have the continuity of Night Sky Sanctum and everything that they did, and the way they left the world without its sovereign, and without one of the most powerful, or two of the most powerful artifacts known to the world at that time.
Now in the hand of someone who's definitely not stable.
But luckily, also probably not in the known universe, at least according to most
someone
of the
else's
characters.
problem.
Yes, someone else's problem. Nice. So, as far as timing, in addition to being able to play at any time period in the past, present, or future, we also should decide whether we're playing in the direct aftermath of Night Sky Sanctum, alongside Night Sky Sanctum, potentially seeing their rise, potentially interacting with them, or just playing outside of that entirely, sort of in the base universe. So, do any of you have an instant, strong feeling toward that?
Well, we've played a lot of like past times and kind of past decades.
Yeah.
What if we kind of went the other way and went a little bit more just in the future and had like a time skip that way and a little bit more futuristic?
Yeah, that's a definite possibility.
I like the idea of potentially, we touched on it before, of doing the Children Coven for the follow-up, and I feel like the sooner we do that, while it's still fresh in our mind, and the audience's mind, it might be a good idea. Either that or
True.
something in between, like Night Sky Sanctum and Thyrsus. Like just something while it's still fresh, and we kind of pull from some of it.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like we all really want to do the kid thing at some point. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
I'd be down for doing that as like a future one if we want to go that route, but I do think future is probably the best one because we've kind of hit present and past already.
Right.
Yeah.
So, according to my memory, which may be wrong, so correct me if you remember otherwise, but I feel like the kids that you guys rescued that were the target of that massive wild magic spell at the end of the game ranged in age from about or were all about the age of 13.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to make them all 16, then we would at least need a 3-year time jump.
I think a time jump would certainly make it more interesting, allow us to sort of not have to pick up exactly where things are.
Right.
So we don't have to really fuss about the continuity.
See how the Sovereign has like altered everything right now with the new.
Well, the Sovereign's gone.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, Elise is in his body, but I just and the air quotes.
Yeah. Huge air quotes. Get him way up here.
How do I do astral plane quotes?
Yeah.
What if each of us were one of the children that formed a coven?
I mean, they are. There are a lot of ways we could go with that. There are 13 children. So that gives a lot of, even with the 4 of you, that gives a lot of potential for you guys to play alternate characters if you were to go with that group, or for us to bring in guest stars to play some of those characters.
Extra kids.
Yeah. That way,
I know that if we do play the kids, there is already something I have built up as well. So
okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I would like more of a time jump. I don't know. I don't like the idea
Feel
of playing
comfortable at 16.
teenagers.
Yeah.
I do agree. If we push them out of maybe at least 19.
At least, adults, so I don't
Okay.
have to worry about anything
Yeah.
weird.
I get that you're playing as a kid and starting to flirt with someone by accident.
Mhm,
Totally
yeah.
down. That makes perfect sense. Okay. So yeah, jump out 5 to 7 years into the future so we can still make sex jokes, as Drazzy says.
Yeah,
Um,
mid-20s maybe we are, because then we can be like, then that still gives enough time jump to where if we do like an alternate timeline, we can still go back and connect the dots in between.
yeah, I was
When
gonna
we're
say,
mid-20s and we're wild, we've seen a little bit of the world, but we're still experimenting and
yeah, it's perfect fodder for flashbacks.
Oh,
for
yeah.
us to
All that time in between.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, so basically we'll have you guys' childhood is a thing you can flash back to. So if we want some very targeted when we were 15 adventures or whatever, we could do those, through flashbacks into the past while we're solidly playing adult characters in the future.
A brilliant compromise.
Okay. Awesome.
Half of our flashbacks are just Elise putting out cigarettes in our arms.
God.
No.
You got a
This is
flashback.
basically canon that all these characters were abused by my last characters.
It's not a matter of if we're traumatized, it's how traumatized are we.
yeah, exactly.
We
Yeah.
all just start with a base trauma of mommy issues.
Yeah.
Basically, it opens up as,
It opens us up to all start with a trauma.
Yeah, like we're all in some crazy, shady situation. It's like, I bet you're wondering how we got here.
Well, I love to start games like that. Yeah.
Oh,
I actually really like what Morningstar said about starting with a trauma. We hadn't really talked about whether we were going to start at Coven Tier 0, but that is kind of the default position. But I was thinking as a sort of compromise to being so low-powered, give you a trauma in exchange for one upgrade of your choice. So an extra grimoire power, an extra general power, or an extra dot that you can use for one of your actions. So it's like a level up, but you start with a trauma. And you'll probably gain XP just a little bit faster if you start the game with a trauma.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
it's good to me. I feel like that makes sense considering what the kids would have had to go through.
Yeah. Yeah,
We know they all endured a little bit of trauma at some point.
Well, I'm sure we'll get
I mean,
into
weren't they all possessed by eldritch beings for
They were.
just
Yeah,
a little
they
bit of
were.
time? So,
They had parasitic eldritch organisms trying to take over their body. So yeah, they went through
that
a
can't
lot.
be good for you.
Yeah. Also, the whole thing toward the end of Night Sky Sanctum was, will the kids fulfill the prophecy that they were destined to fulfill? And then they all lost their magic. And all of the other factions that had been fighting to stop that prophecy from coming true were like, oh, I guess we could just hang back now. There's no way that prophecy's coming true. All 13 of the kids lost their magic. And then with the quick thinking of the liches giving up the last of their power, they were able to restore magic to the kids. But I feel like, and we can talk about this more potentially off camera in the next couple of weeks, but I feel like the kids have all had this drilled into them that they have the potential for greatness, but maybe over the last 5 or 6 years, none of that has really happened. They've just been hitting all the same milestones as everybody
Gifted
else.
children.
We all have classic gifted kid syndrome.
Right.
Yeah.
No matter what happens to you, it's never good enough as what was predicted.
I mean, when you had a stage mom like they had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Drama.
Grandma, yeah. We'll never live up to Elisa's shadow.
Toddler tiaras and trauma.
Yeah. Yeah, consider how bad whichever one of these kids ends up being a psyche has it. Because Elise was able to see that in them. And who knows what she would have done.
Who knows what she still sees.
Yeah. Okay, so... I think we have a pretty solid idea that we will be 5 years post Night Sky Sanctum. So, plenty of time for the world to sort of have rearranged itself, for the factions to have evened
Put
out.
themselves back into power after Night Sky Sanctum cut them off at the ankles.
Yeah. I have an idea for who is going to take over the Order. Now that
I believe we discussed that.
Yeah, we did in our when we were talking about being the potential for moving forward from Night Sky Sanctum. We did discuss some ideas about who might take over the Order. The thing that kept the Order in balance and kept them at Tier 5 was the fact that Sovereign Morningstar had a staff that more or less made him invincible. But he wasn't a witch, so he couldn't really make use of all the bound souls that he had. But if a witch took over the Order, kind of the self-hating type, then they would become in eventuality, become an exceptionally powerful force to be reckoned with. But they would have to face a lot of challenges in the meantime. So 5 years gives them a long time to have faced those challenges and to actually start to become a real force. So we'll decide if they're still your enemies or if they're your allies at this point, but we can decide that as we go on. So as far as the Covenstead, are we agreeing for its location that it should be in an apartment building of some kind, or has any of this changed what people are thinking?
I think an apartment building seems quite sensible. Perhaps the kids sort of holed up in there after the fall of the Sanctum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're a witchy halfway house, so...
Some building that's condemned and people are fighting over tearing it down and don't even know that we're hiding in it.
Slated for demolition. Okay. Well, that is a good starting point. The next thing for us to choose is a lore. Given the group of characters and their previous escapades, what initial lore would you have among the other factions? You earn XP when you bolster your coven's lore, so think of this as a cue to indicate what kind of action you want to see in the game. There are several choices, and then you can make up your own. The pre-built choices are ambitious, brutal, daring, honorable, professional, street savvy, subtle, strange, or something else. Witchy halfway house.
I must admit, I do like the idea of street savvy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all kind of scrounging around in a run-down makeshift apartment.
It feels as
Still
far
happening
as we
to
can get away from Night Sky Sanctum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or subtle. Yeah. Yep.
Subtle would be fun too. I'm not sure how long we could hold to it though.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Okay.
We'd all definitely be strange. We're a big hodgepodge full of just so many different people. I think strange is an easy
That's
marker.
inevitable.
And our origin story is just like, what the heck?
Yeah, that's like third date talk. That's not first or second date talk. You don't tell people about Elise on the first date. and
We could talk about Seth.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Honest.
and living with Seth. So we would have to determine what's going on with Seth 5 years later, because they're basically the only person from Night Sky Sanctum that's still around 5 years later.
They've
At
walked
least
into
in
the ocean.
Yeah, walked into the ocean, just vanished. Some say Seth is still swimming in the harbor.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Ooh. The Reyes Array said something like Eldritch Brutal. Yeah. Or Streetwise Subtle. Yeah. So what do you guys think about Street Savvy as a starting point?
Yeah.
I think
like
Street
that.
70, yeah, definitely.
I think it'll push us to pursue a very different approach to our previous covens.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'm thinking too, like Street Savvy, we're probably like we could grift, we could pickpocket. Like,
Well, think, how did these children survive after the Sanctum disappeared?
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Yeah.
Had to do a little bit of pickpocketing.
Okay. When you prepare to execute an undertaking of your favored type, you'll gain a die for gather information rolls to assist with the undertaking. So choose one favored undertaking. The list are abduct, arson, assassinate,
Arson.
astral dealings, banishing, beguile, bind, capture, cleanse, con, courier, curse, deface, destroy, disappear, discredit, escort, exercise, heal, hide artifact, hide individual, hoax, liberate, locate artifact, locate individual, masquerade, misdirect, negotiate, perform a ritual, perform a spell, plant, raid, remove a spell, revive, sabotage, sanctify, scry, security, shadow dealings, smuggle, stalk, stop a ritual, strong arm, summon, surveil, threaten, or underworld dealings.
I think con popped out immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
If
I
we're
love a
street
con.
savvy,
Okay,
running
con movies are my favorite films in existence. So if we
Nice.
could make every session into a con movie,
Well,
No
yeah,
pressure.
yeah. I think, yeah, I agree. Con kind of jumped out to me too. It's kind of a good catch-all. Like, a lot of these kind of fall into the realm of con. You just make a longer-term plan for, I'm doing this today, but my real intent is what happens in 2 weeks or a year.
well, even better, we don't do that. We just do things and then we flash back 2 weeks before
Exactly.
when we planned everything ahead of time and swapped the cases.
Also, anytime you're trying a con, you get +1 die to gather information. So that's going to be huge.
Smashing.
Very, very easy way to get that extra die. Awesome. Choose a starting greater ritual. So the greater rituals you can choose from are Covenstead Bridge. This allows you to instantly teleport from your Covenstead to places that you have received a powerful material link to. Drawing down the sun enhances your magical abilities for a day. Mind Wipe, as you guys used recently in Thyrsus. The Rite of Consecration, which is a cleansing rite. Rite of the Daglock helps you find things that are missing. The Sabbat allows you to use downtime to get a full heal. Seek your patron's guidance. That's a good one for growing your coven, but you're going to want to have a patron that you really love for that. Summoning Circle for summoning and binding creatures to your Covenstead, and Telepathic Bond to allow for easier communication between coven mates.
I like the idea of residual telepathic bond. Since we had used it so much with Night Sky Sanctum, like it kind of like ingrained in all of us kids.
I was gonna say the same.
It's also
It
possible.
also
Go ahead.
is very, very good.
Yeah. I was also going to say, after most of the members of Night Sky Sanctum were gone, but Jack was still there, he was going to link up with somebody. Why not? Why not these 13 random kids that just got their magic back? So
I
yeah,
could only listen to Seth talk about shrimp for so long. I only have Seth to talk to.
Oh no, do we start with Jack as our patron then?
Oh, that would be fun.
that could be very interesting. So do you want to go ahead and start with telepathic bond?
I think it makes sense. Like,
It
I'm
seems
good starting
also-
with that.
Even if we didn't have a lore reason for it, it also is one of the more useful abilities, especially starting out, as opposed to something like Rite of the Daglock or Coven Bridge, which probably will work up to needing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes
The only
sense.
other one I would have suggested was like summoning or binding circle, but I like telepathy better just because of what Azalwin said as well. Just like it does make sense that there's that carryover from Night Sky Sanctum before, and like our just kind of helps flesh out the characters a little bit more.
Yeah. Awesome. Maybe, depending on where Seth is, the telepathic bond still includes Seth.
We get little snippets here and there.
Shrimp.
Just really echoey in the back of the head. Just
Shrimp,
keep swimming,
shrimp,
just
shrimp.
keep swimming, swimming.
We all randomly get really hungry.
Okay, next is your Coven upgrade. A Coven upgrade is a valuable asset that helps the Coven in some way. Choosing your starting Coven upgrade is another chance to focus the game down a specific range of possibilities. Each Coven starts with one: an arcane library, a binding circle, a boathouse, an expert, a garage, a hidden Coven stead, a holding cell, insight training, prowess training, resolve training, living quarters, a reflecting pool, resolve training, oh, I already said that, a secure Coven stead, a vault, a warded Coven stead, or a workshop specific to one grimoire.
Idea for hidden Coven stead? Like, we're already in this dilapidated building, so maybe it's not so much that it's hidden, but people become discombobulated when they're nearby. They forget why they're there. Or like,
Discombobulated.
so it's like, oh, we're here to tear the building down. It's like, what? Oh, why are we here? Okay, better go home. Or, I don't know. But I'm up for anything else anybody else has. I really don't know for this one.
Well, I think we will need living quarters.
Yeah. Either
He's in
living
apartment
quarters or
building now. He isn't like quarters, like just something that it should have.
Quarters are a standard starter because basically if you don't have quarters, it means this is just your meeting place. You all have places that you go to individually where you reside, but the Coven stead is where you meet up to draw down the moon. It's your ritual space, so having it be hidden, so, you know, like Megan said, possibly messing with people's minds if they try to go toward it, that kind of thing, could still make sense. It would just mean that basically there's been sort of a diaspora for the kids, that they've all spread out throughout the city, that they don't necessarily hang out in more than like groups of 2 or 3, that kind of thing. So I could see it working. I could also potentially see giving you a second Coven upgrade in exchange for some more minuses when we get to the statuses with the other factions.
Yeah, we could be still being hunted by some of the factions just for the reason that we are part of that 13.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, if we've just been like little street savvy urchins just running around, we've probably run in with quite a few of all the other factions and stuff like that, and we've probably taken some stuff from them. So,
Yeah, I mean, it would be worth it just to give yourselves like a -1 to the ever vigilant eye that they all know you. Like they all see you. They always have their eyes on you. It's just a flat -1. It's like, yep, makes sense. They see us around the streets. We're all sort of, we have a history. Yeah, we're kind of marked. So, okay. So what do we want to choose as the main one? Everyone leaning toward Hidden Covenstead, or...
Hidden Covenstead sounds cool.
And then we can decide on another, potentially, with...
Still think living quarters is good because we all just had to congregate there. Safety in numbers, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
If we pick quarters, it's like we live there. If we don't pick quarters, it's like a clubhouse.
Right.
Sorry, I keep sliding out of my chair.
So, yeah, also, it could be newly renovated, effectively, to be quarters. So, maybe just right now, the 4 of you tend to congregate there, but as you get back into contact with the other members of the 13, you'll build room for them too. Mm-hmm. So it could be sort of meager quarters, and then we'll work our way up from there. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
And
we'll just accumulate more and more beanbag chairs.
Yeah, I could see us possibly, like, if we all are scattered, like, that's our main goal of the Coven, is to get all of us together to, like, start, like, maybe rescuing people from here and there. Maybe they've been caught, and kind of give us some little starting points for our sessions.
Yeah. So, who do you want to take this bonus -1 with? We'll just go ahead and knock that out of the way quickly. So, these are in order from lowest to highest tier. So, you could always have the Order keeping an eye on you. A -1 isn't, they're not going to get in your way all that often.
I do like the idea of the eye being the ones. Mm-hmm. It's a bunch of low-level sapes that are keeping an eye on these kids because the real law can't be bothered. But, of course, because they're low-level sapes, we're mostly running circles around them.
Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Kermie? Oh, sorry. Awesome. Okay. Next. One faction helped you get the upgrade, so you get +1 status with them. I'm going to put the pluses down here.
Perhaps the Exiled or the
House of the Ram.
Yes, one of the covens we had strong connections with as Night Sky Sanctum and worked with the kids, both of them.
Isn't the parents of 2 of the kids at House of the Ram?
Yeah.
Or were they just helping us in the midst of
At least one of them, for sure.
It was one from House of the Ram, one from the Exiled, one from the Scarlet Incarnation, one from the Vulture Votary. I think those were the ones that were identified.
Okay.
But they were pretty much from any witchy group. I think I worked it out, and there actually are 13 witchy factions that they were all stolen from. So you could really go with any of those. The Keeper of the Old Ways, the Legion of the Griffin. Any of those.
There we go. You can pick your grimoire, your heritage, and your legacy coven.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
So yeah, maybe I feel like the Exiled makes sense. They're sufficiently powerful. They're very interesting. They're willing to give you help, but you have to come to them because they're not allowed on the mainland.
I feel like House of the Ram also makes a lot of sense because they're good at hiding in plain sight,
That's
kind of
true.
a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Also true.
Yeah, and since you are
the kids did indeed have their ritual in order to remove the Eldritch Beast.
That is true.
House of the Ram, so they are familiar.
Yeah, we could even have some of them as contacts.
Yeah.
Plus Puck's just fun.
Yeah.
Puck didn't go anywhere.
House of the Ram, then?
Yeah, how's that?
Yeah.
All right,
We got multiple
Isabella.
reasons for him.
Agrees. Okay. So, House of the Ram helps you get either your Covenstead hidden or your quarters. What do
I
you
think the hidden Covenstead makes the
The
most
hidden makes the most sense.
Okay, they helped you get the ritual.
We dragged a few mattresses in there.
Awesome.
Hopefully, they weren't from the orgy room.
But
You're
one,
like, all right, now kids, you have fun.
So that's why we had to make sure that they were over
yeah,
over a certain age, because we can't help ourselves with the jokes. Dirty jokes will be made, so we cannot play children.
Yeah.
yeah. Go back to Pepperana was asking the orgy room. Probably mid-season, season 2 of Night Sky Sanctum. I think they were conducting a.
There was an orgy in season 1 as well. They
Oh,
had
really?
multiple
There were
orgies.
multiple orgies. Okay, a season 1 orgy and a season 2.
We didn't partake of them all.
No.
but we were present.
Yeah.
Science.
When House of the Ram has to do big rituals, they perform a lot of sex magic. So.
Yes,
Yeah.
they really tried to tempt us a lot last time.
So it says one faction was screwed over when you got your Covenstead. Who are they? You get a -2 with them.
The brownies.
The red
Or the red
Little
cap.
red
What are they?
cap
The red caps.
The brownies were infesting our infesting the Covenstead, and
We kicked these red caps out.
I feel so bad for them.
They have definitely been significantly screwed. Okay,
They've been our punching bag for ages.
so Redcaps United, the -2.
It could be funny.
Yeah,
Poor
a
little
lot
guys.
could have happened with them in the intervening 5 years.
I can imagine them picking fights with the kids.
Oh,
And the kids picking fights right
yeah,
back.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Coven assets are a set of tools that any PC can make use of during an undertaking. They include such things as melee weapons, ranged weapons, climbing gear, disguise kits, first aid kits, crafting tools, magical components, or any other assets of your choice. You can either choose 2 standard Coven assets or 1 fine Coven asset.
I like the idea that we have one fine one, just like we have this one precious thing.
It'd be enough
we
for the
made.
whole group, but yeah.
Because we kept hitting that last time where it's like, we have lockpicks. Oh, but they're not fine.
Now, I have a suggestion, and this is going to be a bit unexpected coming from me.
Okay.
Guns.
I like the fact that we
maybe
might
not
have
the
a bunch of-
guns.
like a bunch of fine disguises, because we've been conning people, we've been trying to hide.
We were
Yeah.
each issued 1 mustache kit.
Aw. Isabella said there are 4 fine assets on this screen. Power word gun.
It's worked so well for me in the past.
Fine disguise kits. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay.
That's a smashing idea.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, another thing to consider. Of course, you guys are all going to the. I just realized that kind of puts you all in a box because all of the kids, at least when you guys knew them when they were 13, hadn't expressed any heritage traits yet. They were all Median passing. So consider that they did grow up as Median when you make your character and decide what heritage they're going to take on. So
Yeah, I think maybe when we got our magic back, like some heritage
Ooh.
traits really like came out. We mutated a little bit. Plus, we've had Eldritch in us, we've had Lich in us. Like I think with all that, like some traits could have mutated out. Kind of like that time I was reincarnated as slime when he like names someone and they'll like grow into something bigger.
Nice. This game is called Children of Midnight Coven. It's Andrea and I made it. We've been running it online and in person for a little over a year now. In-house. It will probably be. We'll probably do some kind of a mass funding thing in this year. But it is a Forged in the Dark game in the vein of Blades in the Dark or any of the other massive number of Forged in the Dark games. But instead of being about criminal enterprise, it's witches and their covens.
And occasionally criminal enterprise.
Yeah, like don't get it wrong. We do criminal activity.
More often than you would think.
The law is never followed.
It's always be gay, do crime, and
Yeah. It's a be gay, do crime, do witchcraft. Yeah.
Do witchy crime.
Witchy crime.
yeah.
I mean, we could play cops if we wanted. We could all just align with the order.
Yeah. Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
I feel like it is coming. There will be one day when it is a group of witches that work with the order, but it'll be a weird day.
It's like a one shot. There you go.
Yeah, and we will be testing.
We'll all
the
have
limits.
a bad taste in our mouths after.
Now that you've said it, I can't not think of it. Harry Potter musical. They're like, it's the Wizard Cops.
Yeah. Yeah. So witches, not only do they have a crap ton of spells that they get to work on that are based out of their grimoire, but additionally they have a thing called wild magic where they can basically make any effect that they want. They have devastating consequences if you fail a wild magic roll. Our entire last mini-series was dealing with the consequences of Azaelin's character's spectacularly failed wild magic roll that sent them into Wonderland, 1930s version of Alice in Wonderland. And they spent an entire session trying to get out of Wonderland. So yeah, it's an incredibly fun system as long as you're willing to completely play around in the world. The game is serious. It has some serious elements, but once you start
You can
throwing,
definitely play it serious.
yeah, you can play it
It's all
serious.
about whatever community you're working with. Your
Yeah.
group is going to set the tone for the game, certainly.
True.
If I'm playing, it's never serious.
I mean,
Yeah,
we
we're
started
a
as goody
silly
goody,
bunch.
like artifact hunters, and
Yeah.
instead we committed arson.
Yeah, you went from artifact hunters to mass arsonists.
I mean, at the end of the day, did we not collect artifacts of great power?
And shunted them off into another universe. Yes, you did. That's true.
We collected
Hunted is
artifacts
such a
and
I prefer
beans.
absconded.
Absconded with them, yes. Okay, so we have some fine assets. Next, we will create a Coven contact who is a close friend, longtime ally, or partner in crime, and choose their general skill set. So I think maybe this would fit Jack better than Patron.
What was either that or Puck?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Either him or Puck. I like Jack as the idea of the patron, and then Puck is like our buddy.
Yeah.
Because
then
then
he's
our
like
gay
that
dads
big
who
house
like try to tell us what to do.
Hey, Dad, get your weird horns and tail out of my way. Okay. Coven contacts. Here we are. All right. So what? Got Puck. He's Fae. And he's basically like a giant satanic satyr. So,
But he's a very nice giant satanic satyr.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah,
with
Yarrow
kids.
was quite smitten with Puck.
A Fey Baphomet?
Yeah. Basically.
Maybe he's
Baphomet.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he's changed a bit in the intervening 5 years as well.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the Reyes Rave mentions demons. Yeah, he was very satyr-like. And speaking of demons, there was a Baal Zafan. Was a demon that Night Sky Sanctum interacted with. That it may be still around. The three liches were all gave up their powers to give magic back to these kids, but Baal Zafan did not die in that ritual. So
Yeah, I was like, they would have died relatively quickly
Yep.
because they had been alive for a very long time.
They had, yeah. So Puck gets a +1 status, I think. Or no, it's +2. All right. And one faction is already friendly with this contact. You get +1 status with them. Do you want to apply that to House of the Ram and bring them up to +2?
Sure.
I mean, it makes sense.
Okay. And one faction is unfriendly with the contact. You get -1 status with them. Let's see. I feel like there are some religious organizations that are probably less happy about the existence of a Fey Baphomet. I'm thinking Golden Oath. We haven't had any interactions with them in the past. Golden Oath is basically all the world religions when witches came back or came out of the woodwork in the 17th century. The golden
broom closet.
What's that? Yeah, out of the closet.
Out of the broom
closet. Yeah.
Coming out of the broom closet. There we go.
Yeah. When they did, all of the world religions basically melded together. So the Golden Oath is sort of what all the powerful world religions turned into. They all organized together. They all started accepting witches, but only witches that would use their magic in the ways prescribed by their church. So you have, witches of every religion being under the banner of the Golden Oath. Yeah, they also are, they're still a pretty religious organization. And so they have their...
They don't like the devil.
Yeah, they have their share of things that they're unhappy about. Each PC should help determine one of the Coven's goals and whether it is a short-term or long-term goal. So something your PC would want to do. And
well, that's hard to say because we haven't made characters yet.
Yeah, it would be knowing the factions that you have relationships with and your favored undertaking. And yeah, these are things that we can potentially come up with.
I guess one would have to be the prophecy by default, right?
Like,
We don't need to make the prophecy come true.
No, just I don't know, but it has to be like a story arc of some kind, whether it's like we explore what it is, whether we make it happen, whether we're trying to stop it from happening, maybe we just engage with it some way. I don't know if we want to do that as a goal. Or if that's just going to be like a background kind of story thing to flush everything else forward.
Yeah, it can be, however, basically, yeah, this is your opportunity to say, this is something I want to explore. Do I want to explore it short term, or do I want to explore it long term? So if it was short term, then we could basically say, let's look into what the prophecy was, and then maybe put it in the can and say, okay, we figured out what the prophecy was about or where it's going, and then we can sort of put a lid on it. Or we could put it long term and maybe have something like, it turns out the prophecy wasn't about what we thought it was about, and we actually have a lot further to go before the prophecy is fulfilled. So yeah, it's really whatever you want to see in the game is what you would use these for.
Okay.
Reyes Arave asks, is there a Midnight Coven lore book? No, it is intended to be played sort of from a very neutral standpoint, where you play to create the lore as you go. So there are a lot of sort of...
We have a book that has like very short descriptions of like what the factions are and what their goals are and things like that. And then you and your table can elaborate on that and decide how you want them to go about achieving those goals, or if those goals are really that important in your world.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have the factions, which is a like 29-page document that details, well, I guess it's 28 pages, so it details 28 factions that exist in the world that all have their own goals, and you can choose whether to align with them or to be their enemies, or snake between being one and the other from day to day. If a technology company's goals align with your character's goals, you can work with them and help them finish that goal, and then you can break with them, or you can keep working with them, and so on. If you've seen a show called Motherland Fort Salem, they do a really good job of... Their game is basically... we are the youngest kids that are part of the Order of the Legion. What are they called? Legion of the Griffin. That's it. And they're just rising through the ranks of that one faction. And the faction's enemies are their enemies. And it's pretty much straightforward. I wouldn't say it's created from scratch by the GM, which we call Lore Weaver in this game. It is created from scratch, not more or less, but it's created from very vague stuff by the entire group. So the Lore Weaver is in charge of making sure that everything stays fun and fast-paced and there's good action. But really, the Lore Weaver is like the engine of the car. The players are the ones steering. And they will steer you.
I can't drive.
The players are steering, and most of them can't drive.
And half of them need to take a bathroom break.
And that's okay. Okay, so let's skip the short and long-term goals until we have had a chance to make our characters. The next thing is... does anyone have any ideas about your coven's aesthetic and or how they cast rituals together? So what type of rituals they use and what your sort of overall aesthetic is. Not individual characters, but like when you gather as a group.
Well, when we cast things together, I think it'd be a little silly if we didn't tap dance.
Oh, we have to.
On that note, I think we all need to have a little bit of a proficiency in tap dancing.
Yes. Sometimes that's how we make money on the corners and stuff. We do little tap dances.
Tap dancing grifters.
Yes.
Oh, we all have to put like a certain amount of points into finesse or at the same level or something.
Yeah.
So maybe
Or
we
else
all
Elise will come back and she'll start beating them again.
Hitting us with a wooden ruler from the astral. Just go.
Not a wooden ruler, she has a staff now.
Oh.
Let the beatings commence.
Until morale improves.
Okay.
And the tap dancing.
Tap dancing,
So
beating
maybe
out
the
a rhythm.
aesthetic is kind of like, you know, like vagabondy, like kind of not quite homeless,
Ramshackle.
but you know, yeah.
Tatterdemalion.
Shanty town.
Mhm.
We've
Okay.
set up our own little shanty town inside the dilapidated building.
Okay. That's certainly an aesthetic. Awesome.
Maybe not quite shanty.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
We take whatever furniture we can find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good way in Manhattan.
It's very eclectic.
Yes.
Uh,
Perhaps one of us paints up the furniture all nice.
Yeah, we paint murals on the walls and stuff. They're like little, like
Mm.
kind of a graffiti murals and stuff here and there.
nice.
Urban, there you go.
Yes.
Oh, that's what the Red Caps do. They come in, they spray paint all of our murals.
Or you
Oh,
spray
that's
painted
how
all
we
over
got
theirs.
in a tiff with the Red Caps. We got in a tagging fight over
Yeah.
a certain territory.
Yeah, I like that. Melinda says tape art.
Ooh, yeah. That's good stuff.
Nice. So, a Coven patron. I'm picturing the Undercity from Arcane. I'll have to look at that. I'm not sure. I don't know Arcane.
Oh, Arcane's awesome. If you haven't played the games or anything, you can still watch the show,
Oh,
and
good.
it's pretty
It's
good.
better than the show.
Awesome.
I like the art style a lot.
Hello,
Hello,
Hermes.
Hermes. All right. Create or explain your Coven patron.
Jack.
Yeah.
So,
Spider Strike.
patron spirit. Jack
Is he?
Spider.
I assume he's still a statue.
I think that 5 years could have massively changed what he is. I'm thinking if he is a patron, he needs to have gone on to the spirit realm. So maybe he
So maybe
has
we
evolved.
cracked him out of the statue, but he doesn't have a physical body on this plane anymore.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now we use the statue as a fountain in the middle of our little makeshift town.
I like the idea of him being like cement dust.
Okay. All right. And so what does he believe in, or what are his goals for you?
I feel like he would be a little overprotective at this point, since the last coven that he kind of like weaseled into a little bit was like kind of had a not very fun end.
Maybe he wants us to do something with the mushrooms.
Yeah.
The mushrooms that we just left all over Central Park. Perhaps we have to clean up Night Sky Sanctum's mess in Central Park and restore it under Jack's power.
Oh my god, that's our long-term project, our long-term goal, just cleaning up all Night Sky Sanctum's mess.
The mushrooms aren't a mess.
No,
They're
good
sentient
boys.
and happy.
Oh my, and I'm a mess.
Do we think that he would give you a gift and or a ban?
How do the bands work?
It's usually an always or never sort of thing, so never destroy
Never trap
a fake
in a
creature.
statue.
Yeah, never paralyze fey creatures and turn them into statues. Yes, druidic abilities are a thing. There are green witches in the game, and the new grimoire that Isabella made is Fawn, and they are also very druidic. There's also a faction in the game called the Keepers of the Old Ways that are druidic. Yeah.
And every witch has a familiar, which, animal companion.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So when everybody's making their characters, we will definitely have a lot of interesting familiars popping up.
Yeah.
I have an idea for my character, but I have no idea for the familiar. I never do.
Oh, I have it all in my head. I'm very excited.
It's hard to decide. I mean, there's just so many wonderful animals. Perhaps I should do a dove.
Flyers
Oh,
are nice.
We're
Like
in New
this
York. One of us has to do Pizza Rat.
Pizza
Surprised
Rat.
hasn't happened already.
Yes.
Well, yeah, one of us adopted the pizza rat.
Yeah.
one. One of us was the pizza rat.
There you go.
It was Seth.
It was so cool. I mean, Pizza Rat, food motivated.
You know, we could do like a real minor ban and make his gift that he maintains your telepathic bond.
I do like that.
That works.
That's kind of what he did last time. He's
Makes
good at
sense.
it.
And what are you thinking for a minor ban?
That's
I don't
up to
think
you.
we've actually applied any.
Well, I do think the no harming fey creatures does make sense. Although we could get into problems with that, given that our enemies are redcaps.
Mm.
I mean, but Jack doesn't like them either.
Yeah, we
That's
could
true.
absolutely build red caps into the exceptions pile of that ban because he did have. Yeah, they're the ones that caused him. Well, they had your help, but
They just took the fall. They were the scapegoats.
so maybe not harm, but maybe destroy, because you guys killed a lot of fey creatures in your last game. I remember Azaelin's character turned a gnome to mush.
Oh yes, that was brutal.
Oh.
wasn't it?
Basically cheese grated him to death in
It
like
wasn't
a
intentional.
half second.
Yeah, that was
it.
an accident. We just wanted to keep him.
Hey, I carried bits of that gnome with me to
Just
the
tried
very
to
end.
kidnap
I
him.
think
Yeah.
He
you
wasn't
used.
trying to kill him.
I think you used him as a
Literally
magical
inhaled the
component
handbasket.
later
Yeah.
Yeah.
for a
I mean, if
charm.
you've got the parts, you can't let
Yeah.
them go to waste.
You know,
Shelf elves. So maybe instead of never harm, because harm should. It's
Harm is difficult.
What
to
about
do.
enslave? Because that's
Yeah.
kind of what happened with him. He was kind of tricked to being enslaved, and then he just kind of, got Stockholm syndrome and stuck around.
and from the Fae perspective too, they're gonna not want to fly with that anyway. They're like, no, we're the ones doing the tricks and stuff.
Mm,
And the Night Sky Sanctum did probably fly a little bit close to a little bit of forced labor here and there, so he might want to work hard to push us far away from that legacy there.
I feel
Just a
like
small bit of forced labor. It wasn't. We don't say the S word. Prisoners
do
for
something.
jobs.
We could do something like no destroy, and then if we do end up getting into some kind of altercation, we can use that as some kind of negative effect for us during a session. Just like,
oh yeah, he'll definitely cancel the telepathic bond. He'll at least remove the offending
Temporarily.
character from the telepathic bond temporarily.
yeah, I like that because then it's just kind of like, well, consequences for your actions.
Never,
You're grounded.
never destroy a fey creature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that seems like a good trade-off for him maintaining your telepathic bond. That's the equivalent of getting a free downtime action every undertaking.
Yeah.
So the hardest thing to choose is your coven's name.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Are we just the grifters? Like,
Well, should we bring the tap dancing back into it?
yeah.
Tap dancing grifter.
anything with the number 13 in it could be good.
13 tappers.
Witch's dozen.
It just doesn't. Oh my god.
I kind of like Witch's Dozen
Yeah, that's-
because like we eventually start gathering them and we're witchy by the dozen. I don't know.
It does.
Witchier by the dozen. Yeah.
Love that.
Okay. That is awesome. Let's see. Making sure we have everything. You don't have a vault yet. You've got your 2+1s. You've got your -2, your -1, and your bonus -1. Alright. You have a complete coven here. We just need some goals for later, but you...
And some characters.
Yeah, and some characters to fill it up. So, I think some of you do have some ideas. Do you want to divulge any of your potential plans? These are... None of these being set in stone at all, but...
I kind of want to be a Siren Hinbo.
Ooh.
Like a Gaston, kind of, but with a good heart, you know?
Oh, that'll be fun.
Nice.
And then we can use that fun new
much.
grimoire.
Yeah. Yeah, Siren Grimoire is one of our Patreon supporter-only grimoires right now. Siren, Swamp Grimoire,
Cosmic for that?
Cosmic Grimoire, that's another really good one.
Are any
Crossroads.
grimoires off the table for this session?
No, not only are they all on the table, but Andrea might even be using a custom grimoire. So,
Very exciting.
yeah, they're all on the
I'll give you
table,
my
which includes
a basic idea.
Fawn. Yeah, good.
It's,
I have-
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Striptease.
I think we lost your audio.
Your mic popped up, love.
Of course, because it was attached to the shirt and I forgot.
Is this...
You're right ahead, don't mind me. I'm just undressing slowly.
We're down. All right, Andrea, your idea?
So yeah, my concept idea is I want to be. I can't decide if I want to be a mandrake or a green witch, but the idea is to be like a cordyceps witch and have abilities that I can kind of mind control people, but in a limited. Overtime kind of way, and have my part of my casting style be spores, and my familiar be a small bug that can implant my cordyceps into people's. I'm very
Terrifying.
excited.
Perfectly on trend with The Last of Us.
So it's a little bit of Baba, a little bit of Green, a little bit of Fauna, a little bit of Satyr, like just and a little bit of Psyche too, for good measure.
Yeah, that's what I can't decide if I want to be like a Mandrake Psyche and have my casting style be the spores, or if I want to do something completely.
We will.
It's just the idea.
You will know soon if you are on our Discord, because if there is a Cordyceps grimoire that gets made, it will be shared on our Discord.
I bet Hollis is regretting not being around now. They totally want to adopt this kid.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have a flora, a fauna, and a fungi.
Ooh.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah.
I like that because fungi are like really that nice in between, and they kind of connect between flora and fauna like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think I know what I want to do yet. I just know I really want to play off the fact that the heritage traits didn't come in until really late. So I think whatever I do pick, it's going to be part of their character where it's like, yep, it hit them hard, or like they're all messed up in some way. But I really haven't fleshed anything out yet. But
Puberty wasn't playing around.
Yeah,
Puberty and second puberty was bad.
Are any of the grimoires jumping out at you?
That's the problem. There's too many.
Uh,
Too many jumping out.
15
I wanted
now.
to do like Siren, of course. It's like me with the fish and everything. But other people are interested in Siren, but there's like new ones you guys are making, and Swamp sounded really cool. And then, but I also wanted to do like the
Fish Shrek.
artifacts and the crafting.
Shrek.
It was what Azalin played last time with Yarrow, I believe.
Yeah,
There's
Arcanist.
a lot of Arcanist. Thank you.
Yeah.
I knew it was me. But yeah, there's a bunch of them. So I figure once I figure out the character, it'll probably be a little bit easier just to figure out what kind of fits.
Okay.
But
And I basically have my idea fleshed out already, but I don't want to tell everyone because I feel like part of the fun is the secret of it. Is what doesn't get said out loud.
Hmm. Well, we do have a coven now,
Yay.
and it is only 8:30.
My goodness, so efficient.
Yeah. How about we take a quick break, and we will decide what we're doing when we come back.
Our first goodness, undertaking. I almost said outing, and then I almost said undering.
Oh, an undering. That actually sounds kind of interesting.
Outing and undering.
You come right out of the witch's closet and the broom closet and straight into an undering. All right, we'll be right back. welcome back. We just finished up making our new coven, the Witch's Dozen, and we're gonna field a couple questions, and then we're gonna let everybody know where they can find us on the interwebs. Izza says, "How does the coven feel in direct relation to being in Night Sky Sanctum's shadow? Does it make everything worse?"
I'm sure for each character the sentiment is probably a little bit different. Some were probably proud, some were probably very, very ashamed that they are not as powerful.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like relationships we can pull off of. Like I'm sure many of them were mentally messed up by Elise, but they might have other stories and whatever with Hollis or Yarrow or Seth. So there might be some like interesting feelings between everyone.
Yeah, they certainly might have seen any of the previous characters as mentors in some way or another. I guess that will be majorly determined by the traumas that everybody chooses. So, I wonder if any of you will end up playing the character, the child that was killed and resurrected. Potentially still.
That would explain some things to do with my character.
Nice. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, lots of stuff that happened to those kids throughout Night Sky Sanctum. So yeah, I would say there is a lot of potential for some terrible traumas and some feeling like you're in
terrific tap dancing.
Yeah, we're gonna have some character development. It's gonna be great.
All right.
I'm going to be as traumatized as I've ever been.
Well, let's start from the bottom and work our way up. We'll start with Azalwyn. Where can everyone find you? What are you up to?
Well, now you can find me everywhere to Azalwyn, including TikTok, because old TikTok decided to delete my old one because I went on a rant about the government. Yeah, don't do that, apparently. And so they deleted my whole account. So if everybody would follow my new one, that would be super awesome, because I was getting really close to being part of the Creators Fund last time. So I need to build up this new one. And basically, yeah, you can find me everywhere at Azalwyn, including here on Twitch. We're going to be doing a revamp and a reschedule of the entire thing. And on just keep track on Twitter, and I'll go ahead and post when that new schedule is going to start up. I just wanted to give my birthday month maybe a little bit of a break, but I'm going to try to cover lots of, like, we're going to do tarot readings, paintings, and then like some of the Sims stuff is going to come back too, but I don't want to hold myself into a couple things. So just keep an eye on that. And my movie is going to be up for pre-sale that I was in on February. Look for Savage Vengeance, and I'll go ahead and post that on my Twitter as well.
Awesome. Megan?
I'm the editor and photographer for the Morningstar content. We do posts every Friday. My personal links on Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram are all Seafoam Workshop. There's not too much right there. It's mainly just a filler in between from doing other posts. I am still working full-time while doing Morningstar, so it's just kind of a hobby right now. But yeah, that's where you can find me. But otherwise, you can check out all my fun art and my gorgeous model and all the Morningstar pages.
Yes, it's odd. Usually I'm the one who's talking about Morningstar, and then they elaborate. Going backwards. Well, as said, we have some beautiful artwork. Megan does magnificent edits of photographs of little old me, and I've been told I can be rather nice to look at on occasion. So if you want to look at me, look up The Cytherian. I am on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and now, as of today, active here on Twitch, streaming my own content as well. We streamed City Skylines today. We will be doing The Sims, just like Azalwyn. We will also be doing a bit of Skyrim, a little bit of Fallout, just some variety, some fun things. So do come and join us over there, because I love spending time with you, darlings, and these short little stints we get on Tuesday, it's just not enough.
Agreed. Let me post a link to both yours and Azalwyn's Twitches.
Well, thank you, darling.
And Andrea?
Yeah, I'm Andrea. You can find me here on Tuesdays. You can find me on let's see, Twitter and Instagram and Twitch as the Wildwood Witch. I stream on Thursdays and we do just kind of random witchy content. We have been enjoying doing what I've been calling a story pull from a very interesting archetypes deck, which is super fun and has been relatively emotional lately.
Mm-hmm.
But we're getting ready to do a stream with Morningstar soon for, I guess, on the topic of art as ritual, and that'll be, and we're gonna do a little painting together that day too, which will be super fun. So yeah, if you
Not
are
me, I'm not
interested
good
in
at
that,
painting.
I'm doing painting.
Can't drive and can't paint.
Well, I bet you
I
could
can't do
this
math
kind of
either.
painting.
But
It's a
he can
poor
cook.
painting. It's very easy.
Too pretty to do math. It's okay.
Well,
I
Andrea's
can't
too
roll
pretty
a
to do math,
joint
too.
either.
No.
I mean, look at your hands. Are your hands made for labor?
They're not made for rolling joints. Someone else should do that.
Yeah, at least he's pretty. Yeah, I'm Gavin. I'm one of the creators of Children of Midnight Coven, as well as Plunged into the Dark. There will be a Plunged into the Dark stream here tomorrow. Let me check on the time of that. That is scheduled for 7:30 p.m. tomorrow. Awesome. And I'm actually, I just got a message from the lore weaver of that game for one of my character's special items. So, check us out. That's going to be super fun. I'll have an ad out on Discord and on Twitter. You can find me at Gavin the GM on pretty much everything. And you can find our company, our game company, Balsamic Games. Just Balsamic Games, all one word. And we have free games out there on the internets at our itch.io page. Check us out. And we would love to have anybody that's new, as well as everybody that's old, on our Discord. And yeah, because we're always releasing new things. So thank you all for being a part of our first stream back of 2023. And we will get this coven going. And our first session will be, I think, right at the end of this month. Let me check a calendar for when that is.
Oh, we also have a Redbubble if you were interested in any of the, I don't know, I guess we have merch. I guess that's kind of what
merch.
it is. Yeah.
We do have
We
a
have merch.
Redbubble store. It even features an Azalin original, Baba Yaga hut, and that is one of our hottest sellers. So, thank you, Azalin. The 31st, January 31st, will be our first session of Witch's Dozen. So, I'm really excited about making some materials for that.
I feel like we should add dirty to that name so it can be a dirty.
The Dirty Witch's Dozen. The Witch's Dirty Dozen. We'll see how dirty you guys get during our first couple of sessions and decide whether they get the title. But yeah, that sounds awesome. Well, it's been great to see all of you again, and I look forward to our next meeting. Thank you so much for everybody coming in and joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Our darlings. Mwah.